We begin the Gemara on the Pei Aleph from the base towards the bottom of the Yomad, about 7-8 lines up from the bottom of the Yomad. So the Gemara brings what it says in the Mishnah, Hilvo ala mashkin, you lend someone money and he gives you a collateral for it. So Shem Misacha, the lender that has this collateral in his possession has to guard it and keep it for the borrower, and his responsibility is like a person that's being paid for keeping it for him. Says the Gemara, shall we say that this halacha of the Mishnah does not follow Rabbi Eliezer's opinion? The Tanya, because we learned in Abraise, Hamalves Chaveiroi ala mashkin, a person lends his friend money for a mashkin, v'avad mashkin, and the mashkin got lost. So Rabbi Eliezer says, Yishova v'yito ma'isov. He swears that he was not negligent with this mashkin, it got lost, and then he gets paid the loan. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. This is Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. So the point here is that you see Rabbi Eliezer holds that this lender, keeping this mashkin, his status is like a shemechina, and the only thing he would be responsible for is if he was a pesheya. But if not, then even though it got lost, he'll still get paid his loan. And Rashi here explains that the basis of what Rabbi Eliezer is saying is because when the malva has the mashkin in his possession, there's no gain over here in it for him. There's no reason to refer to him as a Shem Esachar. He has the mashkin, which is sort of a gain for him, a mode of payment from the borrower. So Rashi says, no, the point of the mashkin, according to Rabbi Eliezer, is not as a mode of payment. It's just as a zikaron, as a reminder that if the malva is ever going to want to deny the existence of the loan, the loive that is going to want to deny the existence of the loan, the malva will come and show him, look, I have a mashkin from you. So this proves that I lent you money. So since it's just a proof for the loan, it's not an actual mode of payment, he's considered to be a shem chinam on this, and he's not responsible if it gets lost. However, Rabbi Akiva says, Yochel loy maloi, the loive could say to him, Klum hilvisani elo ala mashkin. You lent me money for this collateral that I gave you. Avad mashkin of the maisecha. Your responsibility for this mashkin is like a shem esachar, and now that you lost this mashkin, that's your loss, and you lost your money, you lost your payment. Which means that Rabbi Akiva holds that the mashkin serves as a payment, and therefore this is considered to be a gain for him that he has this mashkin as a payment for the loan, and therefore he's a chayiv like a shem esachar. If it gets lost, it's going to be the malva's loss. If the case here was that he lent him 1,000 zuz b'shtar, and there's a document where it's written that the malva has a document to prove this loan. And then, in addition to this shtar, hiniach le mashkin aleya, the loive provides the malva with a mashkin. Then, divrei hakoil, everybody would agree over the mashkin of the ma'isov, that if the mashkin gets lost, that he loses his money. And the reason is because if you have a shtar, so then it's not logical to say that the point of the mashkin is just as a zikaron, just to remind the loan about the loan, because you have a shtar to remind us about the loan. And he's not just taking the mashkin for that purpose. And if you have a shtar also, then you're guaranteed that you'll be able to collect the loan because the shtar creates a shibud on the karkois, and there's no problems for this. So then why do you have the mashkin? So the mashkin that you have is for as a mode of payment. The leiv is giving it to you that you won't have to collect anything from me. You have the mashkin as a mode of payment, so therefore this is considered to be a gain for the malva, and if he loses it, he's a shem esachar, and it's his responsibility, and so he's not going to get paid. So what do we see over here? Clearly there's a machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva regarding this case of a person that got the collateral for a loan, whether he's like a shem chinam or a shem esachar. And in our Mishnah it said that he's a shem esachar, like Rabbi Akiva's opinion. So the Gemara says, no, you can even say Rabbi Eliezer, that our Mishnah follows Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. And there's no question of what Rabbi Eliezer said here in the Braise, because there's two different kinds of mashkins. In a case where Rabbi Eliezer says that he has the halacha of a shem chinam is because the mashkin was already given at the time of when the loan began. Right, so then at the time when the loan began, you say that he only gave him the mashkin so that the loan should not be forgotten. So therefore, he has a halacha of a shem chinam. But kan shemishkanei shalei b'shas alvasei. In our Mishnah, it's talking about when it came the time to collect the money of the loan, and the borrower didn't have what to pay. So the bezdin went and took the mashkin from the loive. So here, he took the mashkin. It's definitely considered to be a collection of payment. So this is something which is a gain for the malva as a collection of payment. Therefore, here even Rabbi Eliezer would agree that he's considered to be a shemes sachar. But the Gemara asks on this answer, we can't make this distinction because v'idi, in both cases, in our Mishnah and in the Braise, what was the language that it used about this mashkin? Hilvo ala mashkin ketani. It says that he lent him money for the return of a mashkin, which makes it pretty clear that we're talking about a mashkin that was given at the time when he borrowed the money. So Ella, therefore the Gemara says, I'll give you a different answer. Like Kashya, that there's no question I can say that Rabbi Eliezer that says in the Braise that the malva is a shem chinam on this mashkin fits with our mission that says it is a shem sachar. Kan shalvo mois. In the Braise it's talking about when he lent him money. So when you lend someone money and you get back a mashkin as a payment, there's no gain for the malva, for the fact that he lent someone money. But Kan, in our Mishnah, shalvo peiris, he lent him fruits. And this is something which is actually a gain for the malva because he had a lot of extra fruits. And the fruits are going to rot. He can't eat it himself. He lends him fruits and then he gets paid money in return. And he gains by the fact that now he doesn't lose the value of all these fruits that would have rotted. So therefore the mashkin that he keeps is for a loan that's really not a gain only for the loive, it's a gain for the malva. That's what our Mishnah is talking about. Frag the Gemara, but how could you say that that's what the Mishnah was talking about? In the Mishnah, there's the Tanakama that we quoted before, that you're shemes sachar, but then right afterwards, the Mishnah brings a second opinion that actually makes this distinction. After the Mishnah brings the Tanakama's opinion that with a malva of a mashkin, you're shemes sachar, then the Mishnah says that Rabbi Yehuda says the point that we just said, that it depends what the malva lent him. You lend him money, then you're Shem Echinam, because it's just not the loan here is not a gain for the malva, it's a gain for the loive. But Ilvo Peiris, if you lend him fruits, then Shem Esachar. Then you're keeping a collateral for such a kind of loan, then it's a gain for the malva. So Miklal, if Rabbi Yehuda makes this distinction, so it's understood. The Tanakama lo Shanile, that according to the Tanakama, this distinction is not true. Tanakama holds even when you lend money, it's the malva is also considered to be a Shem Esachar on this mashkin. So the Gemara answers, no, I can tell you that Kula Rabbi Yehuda, that really the entire Mishnah is all one opinion, it's all Rabbi Yehuda. V'chesure mechsere, there's words missing in the Mishnah, v'hachi katani. This is how you have to read our Mishnah. Helvo ala mashkin, you lend someone a loan, so that, and you're getting a collateral for this, shemes sachar. So the lender now is a shemes sachar. And then the Mishnah clarifies, Bamed, what am amurim? When do we say that the lender has a gain here in this loan? Shavo peiris, you lent them fruits. Without this loan, these fruits would have rotted. If you lend them money, then shem echinam. Then it's the loiva's gain, it's not the malva's gain, so the malva's a shem echinam on the mashkin. And the Mishnah continues, Sher Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, because Rabbi Yehuda said, when you lend money, you're Shem Echinam, when you lend fruits, you're Shem Esachar. So it's all one opinion. So the Mishnah can fit with Rabbi Eliezer's opinion that said that you're Shem Echinam, because our Mishnah was talking about when you lent them fruits. So the Gemara asks on this, after all of this, that we showed how our Mishnah can possibly go like Rabbi Eliezer's opinion, but if this is the case, Kamala Masnisin the like Rabbi Akiva. That would mean that our Mishnah is only like Rabbi Eliezer and not like Rabbi Akiva. Because Rabbi Akiva says in the Braise that you're always going to be a Shem Esachar. There's no distinction between whether you lent him fruits or whether you lent him money. But now we're saying Chsuri Mechsere, and our Mishnah would be following only Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. And Rashi says, why would we not want to say that our Mishnah does not follow Rabbi Akiva? So here Rashi brings the klal that Stam Mishnah is Rabbi Meir, a Stam Sefra is Rabbi Yehuda, Stam Sefri is Rab Shimon, and then Kulu Aliba de Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was the teacher of all of them, and all of these, the Mishnahs and all these Braises, all go according to Rabbi Akiva. So why would we say that our Mishnah does not follow Rabbi Akiva? Ella, therefore the Gemara concludes, therefore we say, Machvarta, the best pshat over here is Masnisen de Loik Rabbi Eliezer. That our Mishnah does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Our Mishnah is going according to Rabbi Akiva that says that when you lend money and you have a mashkin in your possession, you're always going to be a Shem Esachar. Regardless of what you lent him, whether money or paytis, you always have the status of a Shem Esachar. Now the Gemara comes back to explain better what's the basis of this machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva regarding a lender that's keeping a mashkin, whether he has the status of a Shem Echinam or a Shem Esachar. So the Gemara, maybe we should say that the loy shavi mashkin shir zuzi, that the case here is that the mashkin that the lender got from the loive does not have the value of the amount of what the loan was. That's the case where they argue. Shmuel kamiflagi, and they're arguing what Shmuel said. So Rashi explains that the point the Gemara is saying is that in a case where you get a mashkin that has the value of the loan, everybody would agree that this is considered to be like a mode of payment for your loan. That's why you took a mashkin specifically, that's the value of your loan, and the malveh is considered to be a shemesh sacher on this. But over here, what they're arguing about is, what kind of a mashkin did you get? You got a mashkin that's worth less than the value of the loan, or maybe even much less than the value of the loan itself. And they're arguing in the statement that Shmuel said. So Shmuel said as follows: Hi man the oisva alfa zuzah lechavre. A person lent 1,000 zuz to his friend, and he gave him a mashkin, but a very cheap mashkin. The anachle kato de malgla ilavayu. All he gave him for a mashkin is a handle of a sickle for this loan of 1,000 zuz. So it's not at all the value of the loan, but nevertheless, Shmuel says the understanding of this mashkin that the loiva gives the malva is thatovat kata, if the malva loses this handle, the magla of this sickle, of the alfa zuzah, he loses the entire payment. He doesn't get paid the 1,000 zuz of the loan. So this is the chiddush that Shmuel said, that according to Rashi's opinion, even if they didn't specify this, when he gave him the mashkin, it's understood that he's giving him this cheap mashkin, that if you have this mashkin, then you'll get paid. But if you lose the mashkin, you're not going to pay a penny. You're not going to get paid a penny here. Yeah. And it's a big chiddush. Taisus though brings that Rabbeinu Hananel said that this statement of Shmuel is not in a case where they didn't specify this. If it was just stam, unspecified, it's hard to understand why you should say that this tiny little mashkin should be instead of the payment of the loan if you lose it. As rather the case here that Shmuel was saying was when they specify this clearly, and therefore it's going to be if you lose it, you don't get payment for the loan. Right, so what the Gemara right now is saying is that according to Rabbi Eliezer, that says that if you lose it, then Rabbi Eliezer said that if you lose the Ovad HaMashkin, so you can still get paid. So Rabbi Eliezer does not agree to Shmuel. Rabbi Eliezer holds that no, this tiny mashkin that doesn't have the value of the loan, as long as you prove that you weren't negligent with it, you'll get the full payment of your loan. Mashenke Rabbi Akiva says that you're not going to get your payment. Why? Because this is the agreement that if you don't have this mashkin, you don't get any payment at all. That's the basis of Rabbi Akiva's opinion here, like Shmuel. So the Gemara says, no, that's not the basis of the machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva. If this mashkin you got is like this case of Shmuel, where it's a small mashkin and it's not worth at all, like the amount of the loan, the kulal meleslu the Shmuel. Everybody does not agree to this chiddush of Shmuel that this small mashkin could be instead of the payment of the loan. But v'hacha over here, now Rashi explains that in the case where it's not a share, so then everybody would disagree with Shmuel, but still Rashi says Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva don't hold exactly the same thing. According to Rabbi Eliezer, as he says in the Braise, you're not going to lose anything. If you lost the mashkin, as long as you swear that you were not negligent, you're going to get the entire payment. According to Rabbi Akiva, when you lose this mashkin, so your loss is going to be only the value of what that mashkin was, not the entire value of the loan. Now, what is the basis of their machlokes though? V'hacha, second, where am I there inside? V'hacha b'deshave shir zuzi b'shave shir zuzi. Over here, the mashkin that you got actually does have the value of the loan. The kamiflagi b'derabbi Yitzchak. And the basis of the argument of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer, when a person loses the mashkin, whether he can swear and still get paid or he doesn't get paid, they're arguing in the point that Rabbi Yitzchak said about a mashkin. What did Rabbi Yitzchak say about a mashkin? How do I know a lender that's keeping a mashkin in his possession? So he acquires it. It's considered to be his, and therefore if he loses it, even if he loses it with an oinus, according to Rashi, this is Rashi's opinion here, even if he loses it with an oinus, he can't come back to the loiva and say, sorry, I lost the mashkin, pay me. It was yours to keep it, and if you lost it, then the oinus is, you lost what's yours. And so, no, so the loiva doesn't have to reimburse you for this. So Rabbi Yitzchak said, from where do we see this? That he's kind of this mashkin. Shanema, because the pasuk says regarding a mashkin, this will be a tzedakah for you. What the pasuk there says is that when you have a mashkin that the loiva needs to use during the daytime, so then you should return it to him. You can keep it at night, but afterwards by day you give back this mashkin. or if he needs it for nighttime actually, so then you return it to him. Either way, you return it to him for nighttime that he has to use, let's say a pillow and then the pasuk there says when you return to him his mashkin that he needs for nighttime, l'chati tzedakah. The fact that you're returning it to him is a tzedakah. So Rabbi Yitzchak learned out from the expression of the pasuk that it's a tzedakah if you return it. And ain't a kind of mashkin tzedakah minolei. If this mashkin is not even yours, you're just keeping it for the loive. Why are we considering this to be a tzedakah? The expression tzedakah means something that's yours, you're giving to someone else. So mikan, from the expression of tzedakah in the pasuk, I learn lebal chayiv shekayne mashkin, that the bal chayiv acquires the mashkin while it's in his possession. It's considered to be his, and nevertheless he's returning it to the loive to use as a pillow by night. So it's a tzedakah. So that's now the Gemara is saying this is the explanation of the machlokes of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer. According to Rabbi Akiva, if you lost this mashkin, it's too bad because it's your loss. Even if there's an einus that happened here, it was yours. You're not going to get reimbursed for this. But according to Rabbi Eliezer, he doesn't hold of Rabbi Yitzchak. It's not yours, and only if you were negligent, you can't get reimbursed. But if you swear that you were not negligent, you get reimbursed. That's the story. As I mentioned, this is Rashi's pshat here, but according to Taisus brings that even according to Rabbi Yitzchak, you're not responsible for an einus, you're only going to be responsible for gneva va'aveda, which is what the Brisa was talking about. Okay, but the Gemara doesn't accept this explanation for the machlokes of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva either. V'tizbere, is it logical to say that Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva are arguing about the point of Rabbi Yitzchak? It can't be. When did Rabbi Yitzchak say is halacha that the malva acquires the mashkin? When you get this mashkin later on, not at the time of the loan itself, but later when it comes for payment, as Rashi here brings, that's the source in the pasuk. The pasuk there that says l'chati tzedakah is talking about a case where the bezdin came to collect the money and you didn't have any money to pay, and then the shliach bezdin went and took this mashkin as a mode of collection for the payment. There, the pasuk says l'chati tzedakah that you acquired this mashkin because it's already the time of payment. But if you receive this mashkin at the time of the loan itself, mi Amar, did Rabbi Yitzchak ever say that mashkin you receive then is considered to be like you acquired it, that you would be potter, and again, that you would, even if an einus happened, you should not get reimbursed. Rabbi Yitzchak never spoke about that mashkin that was b'shas the halva itself, and that's what this Bryce is talking about. So there has to be a different explanation for the machlokes of Rabbi Yitzchak and Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer, that is. Ella says the Gemara, Mishkanai shalei b'shas havasai. If the mashkin was received later on at the time of collection, not at the time of the loan itself, kula alme islu de Rabbi Yitzchak. Everybody agrees to what Rabbi Yitzchak says, that you acquire the mashkin, and even if an einus happens, you don't get reimbursed. However, over here, the mishkanai b'shas havasai, the mashkin that you got was at the time of the loan itself. The argument over here, whether you're a shemech chinam or a shemech sachar, is similar to the argument regarding a person that's guarding a lost item in his possession. What's the argument there? The hitma regarding a case where a person is guarding a lost item. Shemer aveda Rabba Omar k'shemech chinam. Rabba says your status is like a shemech chinam, and the reason is you're not getting paid anything. You have no gain here. You're just guarding someone's lost item. But Rav Yosef says, no, you're like a Shem Misachar, and the reason for this is because the gain is the fact that ha'isik b'mitzvah, patam and mitzvah. While you're busy with this Aveda, you're not going to have the obligation to go do another mitzvah. So if there's a poor person that comes and knocks on the door, he needs food, for tzedakah, you're going to be pater from giving that food for him because you're busy with this Aveda. That gain of the ha'isik b'mitzvah, patam and mitzvah turns you into a Shem Misachar with the Aveda. So the same thing over here, we could say that the machlokes is regarding this shomer of the mashkin that he has in his possession. When he borrowed someone money, or lent someone money rather, he's doing a mitzvah. So he only has this mashkin in his possession for the mitzvah that he did. It's a mitzvah to lend someone money. So according to Rav Yosef, because you did a mitzvah to lend someone money, so the mashkin that you're keeping, you're being oisik b'mitzvah. While you're busy taking care of this mashkin, you're not going to be obligated to do any other mitzvah. So therefore, you're Shem Misachar. That's the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Whereas Rabbi Eliezer holds like Rabbi that you're a shemer chinam. Just like it is by Shemer Aveda, the fact that you're being Isaac b'mitzvah is not enough to turn you into a Shemer Sachar. Here as well, even though you did a mitzvah to lend the money, you're still a Shemer Chinam. That's the basis of the machlokes. So Leime, no, so now based on this explanation, the Gemara says, if so, Leime, shall we say that Rav Yosef Tanoihi, that what Rav Yosef here says, that when you are keeping an Aveda for someone, that you're a Shem Sachar because of the gain of the fact that you're doing a mitzvah, so this is a Machlokes Tanoim. It's only going to be according to Rabbi Akiva, not according to Rabbi Eliezer. So Rashi here says that the Gemara is only asking this regarding Rav Yosef's opinion. It's pasha to the Gemara that what Rabbi says could only go according to Rabbi Eliezer. There's no other way the Gemara has to explain this. But benegeh to Rav Yosef's opinion, the Gemara wonders, should we say that Rav Yosef's opinion that you're like a Shem Esacha would be only like Rabbi Akiva? And the Gemara says, Loi, no, that's not the case. We actually could make a distinction between a Shemer Aveda and the Shemer of a Mashkin. The Kul Alme Islu de Rav Yosef. Really, I could say that everybody would agree to Rav Yosef when it comes to a Shemer Aveda, you're definitely doing a mitzvah, taking an Aveda, and keeping it for someone is definitely being Isaac in a mitzvah, and therefore you're a Shemer Sachar. But v'hacha, in our case, the Malve Tzorich Lemashkin Kamiflagi. Over here, this malva, this lender that did a mitzvah take, and he lent someone money, but now the mashkin that he's keeping in his possession, he's not keeping it for the mitzvah. He's keeping it for his own gain, for his own personal gain, because he's getting paid off this mashkin. What is he doing with this mashkin? He's using it, and all the use that he has of it, he deducts slowly from the loan, from the payment of the loan. So because he's using the mashkin for himself, so it's not considered to be that he's doing a mitzvah with this. Adarabi, he's just doing it for his own gain. So Mar Sovar mitzvah ka'avid. Shehalvo. So Rabbi Akiva says, even though now he's using the mashkin for himself, but nevertheless, because the loan originally, he lends money and that's a mitzvah, so even though now he's using the mashkin to get paid with it, but still, after all, this whole thing here is all because of a loan, and therefore it's still a mitzvah, so therefore Rabbi Akiva says, he's still a Shem Yisachar. But Omar Sovar, but Rabbi Yosef holds, or Rabbi Eliezer, the other opinion that holds, that lav mitzvah kovid. And we hear in this case of the mashkin, it's not considered to be that now keeping the mashkin is defined as a mitzvah, because shalahana also miskaven. The fact that he has the mashkin in his possession, he has it for his own personal gain to get paid with it. And therefore, so therefore he gets, there's no gain in it he's not the gain of the mitzvah does not apply over here. So it's Adarabah, he did a mitzvah before, but now he has the mashkin in his possession just to get paid with it. So since you don't have this gain of Isaac b'mitzvah, patam and a mitzvah, so therefore he's considered to be a shay mechinam. Okay, now the Gemara goes back to the last point that it said in the Mishnah regarding a person that has a mashkin in his possession. Abishal says, Mutter la'adam lahaskir mashkaini shel ani. If you have a mashkin in your possession from a poor person that you lent money to, so you're allowed to then use this mashkin to rent it out to people to earn money off of it, and then lias peiches v'hailach. And like this, you'll slowly deduct from the payment of the loan. And this is a favor for the poor person that borrowed money from you that he won't have to pay you back. We paskin like what Abishal said. And then he added another detail though, that va'af Abishal lo yomar, Abishal that said you should use this mashkin and it's a favor for the person that borrowed money from you. So he only said this ela b'mara, only with the following kinds of tools. A mara, a hoe, or pesel, which is an adze, which is used in carpentry when you want to smooth out the wood. And the kardam, and an axe, or something similar. And the reason what's unique about these kinds of tools, hoyel v'nafish agrayu, because you can make a lot of money by renting out these tools, and v'zutte peschayu, or pachsayu, it gets ruined very little by its usage. So therefore, you're going to end up getting paid, and you'll be able to give back the borrower these tools in pretty good condition. So it's going to be a win-win for you, for him. You're getting paid, and he's going to get back his tools in good condition. But if it's something that the condition of the tools get very ruined, then this is not something that you're doing that's a gain for him. He gets back the tool in bad condition. A person that was given a barrel to transport from one place to another. So he's a shaymer on this. Vishavra. And on the way, going with this, it broke. So bein shem chinam, whether he was not paid is a shem chinam, and bein shem misachar, or if he's a shem misachar, he got paid for this. Yishava, he can swear that he was not negligent by the fact that it broke, and he's going to be pater. And so Rashi here explains that when something breaks, what happened over here? The person slipped, he tripped, and it broke. How do we treat this kind of a thing, that a person slips and something breaks? Is this called a negligence? Is this a pshia? No, it's not really a pshia when a person trips. On the other hand, could you say that when a person trips, holding a barrel, transporting a barrel, is it an absolute einus, something totally out of his control? Also not. A person could look and see and notice where he's going. This is the concept of niskal. The Gemara is going to bring up what the Gemara talks about in Bava Metzia. When a person trips, what are you responsible for the fact that you tripped? Should you noticed where you were going or not? So seemingly this is a kind of case which is in between. It's not a pshia, but on the other hand, it's not an einus either. But nevertheless, the Mishnah over here, the Tanakama, the Mishnah says, whether you're a shem chinam, whether you're a shem misachar, you swear that you were not a pisheya, and you're going to be potter. Okay, the Gemara will explain. Rabbi Eliezer says, or another gear said, Rabbi Lazar says, Zev v'zeh yishava. That, yeah, it's true, both the Shem Chinam and Shem Misachar can swear that they were not negligent and they're going to be pater. Rashi says what this means is, Rabbi Elazar is saying that I also heard from my teachers, which was Rab Meir, like what the Tanakama, which is Rab Meir, also the same halacha, that either way, Shem Chinam, Shem Misachar would be pater. However, then he added, but utmiani. However, I myself am wondering about this. Im yichaylim zeh v'zeh lishava. I wonder whether the Shem Chinam or the Shem Misachar could swear to pater themselves. Okay, so the Gemara will explain this, as we'll see. Tana Rabbanon, so in a Braise, we learned about what it says in our Mishnah, actually 3 opinions about this. A person that's transporting a barrel for his friend from one place to another. And he broke it. Ben Shem Mechinam, Ben Shem Misachar, whether he's a Shem Mechinam or Shem Misachar, Yishava, he swears that he wasn't negligent and he's pater. Divrei Rav Meir, this is Rav Meir's opinion, like the Tanakama of our Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda says, Shem Mechinam, Yishava. If you're a Shem Chinam, so then you swear that you weren't negligent and you'll be pater. However, Neisa Sachar, Yishalem. But if you're a Shem Sachar, so then you're going to have to pay for what happened, because this is something that's considered to be your responsibility. It's similar to Gneve Vaveda. It's not, you have to pay. Rabbi Eliezer says, like we had in our Mishnah, Zev v'zeh Yishava. I also heard the halacha of Rab Meir that either way you can swear and pater yourself. But it's mi'ani. However, I wonder if either one, the Shem Chinam or the Shem Misachar, would be able to swear to patent themselves. Okay, so now the Gemara explains all the opinions here, starting with the first opinion that both the Shem Chinam and Shem Misachar could patent themselves. So the memre, shall we say, the Sov Rab Meir, that Rab Meir holds niskal lav pesheyahu, that a person that slipped or he tripped, and because of this the barrel fell and broke, that he's not negligent. And the person swears that I tripped, and therefore it's not my fault, and therefore I'll be pater. That's what we understand from the Mishnah, right? What happened over here? The Mishnah says that he broke it. He could either have broken it, mamish, by a direct negligence, he just put it down somewhere and it broke, or what could have happened is that he slipped, and therefore it broke. So when it says in the Mishnah that he's swearing that when it broke, he was not negligent, what does that mean? That it wasn't a real negligence, rather he just slipped. And when he swears that that's what happened, he'll be pater. So you see that when he slipped, it's not his negligence and he's pater. Well, how could it be that this is Rav Meir's opinion? Vatanya, in a Braise in Bava Metzia, we learned about this halach of a person that slipped. Nishbara kadai, a person that's walking with his jog in the street, and he tripped, and his jog broke. V'loy silkai, and he did not clear it from the street. And there, or another case, nafla gamloy, a person's camel fell on the ground, and he didn't take it away from the road. So, and then someone else came and got hurt from this broken kad or from the gomel. Rav Meir is mechayev. Rav Meir says it's going to be your responsibility, since the fact that your jug broke there in the street, it's your pshia. So therefore, now that you left it there, it's like a bird. It's a pit that you dug into the Shus Harabim. You left here this damage that was caused to someone, so you're going to be chayiv for this. Chachamim say medina yadam you potter, because when it cracked and it broke there, it's not your negligence. So it's not like you went and dug a bird that caused someone else to get damaged here. And the Kaimelon, and we explained over there, what are they arguing about? The Beniskal Pesheya Pligi. They're arguing whether when this person tripped and slipped and fell and his jug broke on the ground, whether he's a Pesheya or not. So over there we see that Rav Meir considers him to be a Pesheya and is responsible for any damage that it causes. And in our Mishnah it says regarding the Shomer that if he swears that it tripped and he slipped and it broke, that he's going to be potter. Amar Rabbi Loza, so Rabbi Loza said about this, you're right, this is a very good question. Tavra, this is a very good question. Or some say Tavra means you have to break it, you have to split that our Mishnah, and what Rav Meir said in the Braise. Mi Sheshana Zu, the one that taught this Braise here that says, Rav Meir says that a Niskal is not a Pesheya, Loi Shana Zu, or sorry, over there the Braise says that Niskal is a Pesheya, did not teach the halacha of what Rav Meir said in our Mishnah, that Niskal is not a Pesheya. That's the regarding Rav Meir. So the point is Rav Meir holds that a niskal, a person that trips and then he breaks the barrel, is not a pisheya. So therefore both a Shem Echinam and Shem Esacha would be potter for this. What's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion? Also Rabbi Yehuda Lemeimar. Then Rabbi Yehuda comes and says, Shem Echinam Yishava, a Shem Echinam swears, and it'll be potter, and a Esacha Yishalem. And a Shem Esacha, even if he would swear that it broke because he slipped, he would still have to pay. And the reason is, Hai ki dine, v'hai ki dine. Each one according to their din. As I explained when we learned the Mishnah, because Rabbi Yehuda says when a person slipped and then the barrel broke, it's on one hand not an absolute pshia. Can't say it's absolute negligence when you slip. On the other hand, you can't say it's an absolute einus either. The fact that a person didn't pay attention where he was walking and he ends up slipping is somewhere in between. And therefore it's considered to be like a gneve va'aveda, which is not an absolute einus and not an absolute pshia either. So therefore Shem Yisachar is responsible for that, and a Shem Echinam is potter for that. The third opinion here, also Rabbi Eliezer Lemeima, Rabbi Eliezer comes and says, in Gemara Rav Meir, yes, there's the tradition, in other words, the halacha we learned that was received from Rav Meir, that either way you should be potter. But umiyu, nevertheless, Tmiya ani, I wonder, in Yechalim Zevezel Shava, if either the Shem Echinam or the Shem Yisachar could swear and potter themselves. So he starts off first with his question that he has in the Shem Yisachar. I would understand regarding the Shem Echinam, he could swear that he wasn't negligent. He slipped, and that's not considered to be negligence, and therefore will be potter. But the Shem Yisachar, why would he swear about this? Even if he wasn't completely negligent, but even slipping with it is similar to Gneve and Aveda, like Rabbi Yehuda said, and he should still have to pay for this. That's the question regarding the Shem Yisachar. Further, Rabbi Eliezer says, even the Shem Echinam, which is only responsible for negligence, in our case over here by the barrel, how could you say that he's never going to be responsible? If it's a case where the person was walking in a flat area, so then you could say that this is a situation which is not his negligence when the person slipped. This is something that Rashi here says, it's like a gneve v'aveda, which is caught of linus. It's closer to an inus. But shaloi b'makim madrin, if the person was walking. Again, I just let me explain that again. I didn't explain it right? But B'mokim madrin, again. B'mokim madrin means in a place where it is a slope. Mm-hmm. Over here, in such a case where it's a slope, and the person should realize that he's going on a place where there's a slope, so he should be extra careful. So if he wasn't extra careful, it's understood that in such a case. Okay, again, I'm sorry. Let me explain the logic over here that the Gemara is saying. Again. If it's a case where the person was going in an area which is a slope, so in this case, because it was a slope, so therefore it's considered to be close to an einus. And the reason is because he didn't realize that it's a slope, and therefore he ended up slipping in such a place. He's not considered to be a pesheya for this. So in such a case, I understand why the Shem Echinam would be potter. But shaloi b'mokim madrai, if it's not a case where there was a slope here, and still he tripped and he fell, mi matzi mishtaba. Could you say that this person could swear Deloi Pasha that he was not Pesheya when he slipped and he fell? In such a case, he's definitely a Pesheya, because if it's in a flat area and still the person is slipping, why are you slipping in a flat area? It's something that you probably there was something on the ground you didn't pay attention to. So this is something that you definitely are a Pesheya. So even the Shem Echinam should still be responsible for this. And he continues further and he says, even if it's in a case where it's a slope and therefore it's not considered to be so much his fault, it's closer to an einus. So Nami, even in this case, regarding the Shem Echinam, he should still he should still be responsible for this. And the reason is, it would be understood in a case where there is no way to prove what happened here. But if it's a situation where you can prove what happened to this barrel, so then to swear that you were not negligent, to pati yourself, is insufficient. If you're in an area where you're on the road and there's other people around, and then you're coming to Bezdin and saying, I'll swear what happened, we don't rely on that. Because if you're in a case where there was other people there, you have to bring a raya from people that saw what happened. And what's the source of this? Even though always the pasuk says that you can just swear what happened and you'll be potter, but that's not in a case where you can bring a proof of this. Because the Tanya, as we're going to Nabraisa, Isi ben Yehuda says, the pasuk says, Ein roya. You have a mashkin, or not a mashkin, sorry, you have a pekodin in your possession, and nobody saw what happened with it. You had it in your house, and something happened to it. So then, Shvus Hashem tiyeh ben shneim. So you swear that you were not negligent, and you'll be potter. So from this we learn, yesh raya. But if you're in a place where it's outside, and you were traveling on the road, people see, then yaviraya v'yifter. Only if you bring a proof to what happened, then you'll be potter. So over here as well, Rabbi Elazar is asking, or Rabbi Eliezer is asking, that since you're transporting this barrel on the road, so Naki said that the Shem Bechina is spotted by swearing. Okay, so this is the explanation of Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. What does Rabbi Meir though hold? Rabbi Meir holds that a niskal is always an einus, according to the opinion of what Rabbi Meir holds over here. And also Rabbi Meir doesn't hold of this drasha of Isi ben Yehuda, that sometimes you have to prove it. So therefore, according to Rabbi Meir, he will be potter.